Hey there, everyone. It's Trevor here with another Daclus quality review. This is part of my New Year's resolution to see every movie that comes out in my theater and do a quick little review while sitting in my car on my phone. So today I went and saw Hardcore Henry. This one's a very different one. It's sort of a unique film of it's first person action film. It's very video gamey and it's sort of about some guy gets he's created he's sort of robotic he's he's sort of a cyborg animatronic person who the start gets robotic parts. Jeez, I don't know why I'm really just milking that part for some reason. I'm having trouble getting it out. Well, I'm saying it multiple times is the problem in different ways. But and so he's being hunted down by some evil villain and who kidnaps his wife, and he has to save her and stop him and all this stuff. It's it's an interesting film. I'd say what really works is the first person thing, and I think that's what I partially really like the film because it does do such a good job with this whole first person thing. I saw the Brothers Grimsby did sort of some first person in its movie as well, and that was rough. It was not very good. I mean, that was a comedy. It's not meant to be too actiony, but it did have some action in it that was first person, and it wasn't very good. Whereas this does it a lot better. I don't think you're gonna get too disoriented by it. I know I'm not someone who gets particularly sick by a camera moving a lot, and I think it would have to be a lot for me to start feeling something. But I think this movie throughout doesn't. I think it does a good job of holding steady, and you can tell what's happening. I'd say maybe the end. There's a lot of action that can get a bit confusing and a bit hard probably on your eyes and your head and maybe make you feel sick. But for the most part, I think it does actually a really good job of showing action in a first person view. And I think more than anything, that's what this movie does, is show that a first person movie can be done really well. And for that, I enjoyed it for that aspect. Now the other aspects that aren't so good. There's some bad ones. I'd say the script is pretty poor. There are some good jokes, but there are also a lot of bad jokes. Um, there's some homophobia and sexism in the movie. It's for a certain type of person that I don't know. It's a certain type of gamer that in stuff. I mean, I don't want to be rude, but yeah, if you like homophobia and sexism, you like it. But I mean, no one wants to say they like that stuff, so it's not really a good way to recommend. I don't know how to recommend it without saying it sort of offending someone, but that's sort of what there's some of that. I mean, it's not a lot, but there's some of it, and it's glaring. Um, yeah, the acting's not incredible. There's some decent enough that it goes fine. I mean, I wasn't expecting very good acting in this, and it's very the acting's sort of video gamey like they used to. I don't know if they do it too much anymore, but have these sort of cutscenes that are first person in some old games, and it's sort of like that. A lot of the acting, I'd say, the worst is the main villain is really bad. Like every time he comes on, it's pretty bad. It's rough. Other than that, I mean, the main guy doesn't really talk, so you're fine there. Um, but I'd say they're fine. The main like the wife and this other guy who helps the main character out, Jimmy. They're good at act. They do fine. They do well enough. I've seen the Jimmy guy in other things, so he's fine. He's fine. Not great, but fine. Um, it might be just the format of the movie too that they I don't know they had a rough time acting for this, but yeah, it was overall. It's hard to say because I really did find the first person stuff very good. I'd also say, oh, something I want to mention is it's very violent at times and it goes a bit too far. I'm not really squeamish when it comes to blood or anything. But I think it's very it's not. I know there's the term torture porn for some like horror movies like Hostel. It's not really like that. It's more just sort of, I don't know, blood or gore porn where there's just a lot in it. A violent porn, or it's very violent and it sort of revels in that, and it's like violence. This violence and blood is really cool. There's a montage, sort of a scene at the beginning that I think could really get some people, as well as the end. It's really the beginning and end, which are probably the most bloody, and that's a bit too far. I never felt squeamish when I was eating, actually, during this montage, which was showing at the very beginning. It's just sort of the um, credits montage sequence that doesn't really have much to do with the rest of the movie, but it's just a bunch of images of people sort of getting stabbed and cut open and shot from close up to where they're getting hit. So you see the skin sort of flap, and then blood and stuff's coming out, and it's a bit much. I'd say certain things like that, and there's chests getting ripped open, hearts being pulled out in the movie. I guess that's more in there's some of that in the middle too, but at the end, the end is does have a lot that's pretty violent too. So I think it was a bit too much. I'm not someone who loves violence in. I prefer a story, and the story wasn't very good. I mean, there's some good aspects, but it's mostly it's very predictable. Um, yeah, it's there are just so many bad things that it's hard to say it's a good movie, even though I really, really did enjoy what they did with the first person and how it worked with the action. It was very thrilling, and it worked really. I look forward to a better movie in first person if they can do it like this, if they can do it as well as this. You throw a good script on there, you go throw some good acting. It's not so offensive or bloody, gory, and violent. I think you could get an amazing film. It's very unique, and I think maybe in terms of that, it's worth seeing. But it's hard to say. It's hard not to recommend it just because I there is something to get out of it in terms of are you interested in seeing what could be done with the first person thing, and if you can accept its issues, you might enjoy it. Even though I have certain issues with its offensiveness and stuff, it's hard to ignore what's really good about it, and the format really, really works like no movie has done before. And I think for that, you have to give it. I feel like you should give it a go, give it a try if you're interested in seeing. Maybe it'll work for you as well. But yeah, I guess I kind of recommend it. Oh, that's hard to say. I don't want to recommend a movie that I find offensive, but at times, but it does something that I hope to actually see more of in a format done well. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. This went a little longer. Sometimes I go longer than this though. But I have one more movie to check out called Demolition. Jake Gyllenhaal. So I mean, that's probably, I don't know. It's the more straight down the road movie that a lot of people, that's gonna get a lot of praise, I think. But I'm gonna check that out probably tomorrow. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. You can subscribe to this channel, this YouTube channel, for more videos like this. Also, we do trailer reviews here with a couple friends of mine. We do sort of reactions. They're more reactions, but we'll watch. It's mostly comic book movie trailers. It's geeky trailers, so Star Wars stuff like that. We'll react to. We also have a podcast called Geek Wars Podcast. You can find that on your favorite podcatcher. Please follow us there. We talk about geeky things and stuff. Same pretty much as trailer reactions almost. We don't just react to trailers though. We talk about the news in geek, and again, mostly comic book movies. So follow us there. You can find us on Twitter at Geek Wars Podcast, and you can find me on Twitter at Daclus. Spelling is in the title of the video. Thank you everyone for watching, and until next time, have a good one.